Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. You know, we normally do these shows, we don't really mention the dates when we do them, although we have been recently. And usually we do that for a particular reason. We do that because the shows basically have no time and space. I mean, they're about putting out a vibration of love, about putting out a consciousness of an experience that is transcendental, that is about that true love, that true experience that we all have. But over the last month or so, since September 11th, 2001, we're shooting this right now live, October 12th, 1 month and 1 day after the World Trade Center bombings. And it's an interesting thing because in this last month, so much in a way has happened. I mean, the level of trauma, the level of turbulence that's gone on, and the rise in fear, the rise in between anthrax in the United States and between bombing in Afghanistan and all the riots seemingly, although it seems like they aren't widespread, in Pakistan and in Palestine and in Egypt, and you know, just the enormous trauma that's going on in the world now. Probably it goes on to some extent all the time, but for us in the United States, which is where we live or where we shoot this show, it seems like it's more apparent now. And yet for all of us watching this show, and what I've been saying so much of, because people have been traumatized and people have been calling to try to get their center, to try to find out how in this world that seems to be in a certain sense coming apart, how to deal with what goes on. And to me, in a way, it's simple, although we have to deal with all the things that happen, and we might have to get to an airport early, we might have to not open envelopes now because there's so much stuff that's happening. But really, for all of us, we have the same job, the same destiny, the same experience that we had September 10th, that we had September 11th, the 12th, that we have until we have no more breath. And that really is as best we can to experience the vibration of love and to spread it. And ultimately, that's what we're here to do. And whatever the turbulence and the trauma goes on the surface of the water, the deeper we can get into the depths of that experience, of that true love, of that true God, that really everyone is the child of that one God. We're all children of that love, of that experience of love. And that's what we're here to experience again, and that's what we're here to share again. And that's why people have traveled again from large distances to be on the Bridging Heaven and Earth show. I mean, we have with us tonight Maureen, Belle, who's written numbers of books. She's written 4 books. She's an internationally known spiritual teacher and author. She's written 3 of the books, a Multicultural Feng Shui, Feng Shui with the medicine wheel, Feng Shui with the Celtic wheel. Her spoke on the wheel to that experience of love is how you create a harmonious outer environment that leads to a balanced inner environment and that ultimate experience of the oneness, of the love. And we also have with us Shelley Flanders, who has been on before, as you well know, and she's the operating director of the Bridging Heaven and Earth Foundation, which produces the Bridging Heaven and Earth television show. And as you know, the foundation's goals, we've talked about them before, but just as a little fill-in, is to make sure that all the shows are on in every big city. We're not on now in Miami. We're not on in New York and Manhattan. We're not on in Los Angeles for different reasons. And so that would be one of the things we're going to try to do. We want to make sure that all the shows are available on the internet, so anybody with an internet hookup can watch all the shows anywhere in the world whenever they want to, and watch them over and over again. So that's one of our goals, and we want to set up a retreat and communication center that would offer a recording studio, a publishing house, a TV studio, and a marketing arm for all of these types of things to serve the new age. And we'd also like to set up a retail emporium that would have art shows and people be able to get tapes from Bridging Heaven and Earth and all that. And Shelley's passion is in art and in letting artists and their creativity support the foundation as we support the art, as we support that level of creativity. So, I mean, having Shelley here to describe what we've been doing and some extraordinary paintings we have on the set that have been donated to the foundation, and to show them and to talk about, you know, different aspects of that is a real honor for us. And we also have 2 videos we put together, 2 music videos, one about the foundation and one with one of the songs, Oh Happy Day, that's on the Leslie Bridging Heaven and Earth album. So we have a really jam-packed show tonight. It should be extraordinary. So as we normally do at this time, to settle in, just remember what we're here to do. We're here to feel love and share it, and the rest will take care of itself. We'll have to deal with that. But really our main destiny is to do that. So join me in a meditation, and then we'll have Maureen, we'll have Shelley, we'll have videos, and we'll have a chance to experience that love. So join me, please. Thank you. So I also wanted to thank everybody for the incredible support and letters and emails we've been getting lately about, you know, how we responded to the September 11th thing, and just how the show means so much to them, and how it means just it really is important in a lot of lives that we bring in all these extraordinary guests to share their love with you. So I just wanted to really get a chance on the air to thank everybody. So what we're going to do now is have a video. It's an Oh Happy Day video. It's going to be sung by Lesia. It was written by myself and Leslie, and it's on the Lesia Bridging Heaven and Earth CD. It's something, you know, the crew put together with different images about Oh Happy Day. So, you know, hopefully it can mean something to us all. So, Oh Happy Day.
Oh, happy day, no more painful walls divide us. Oh, happy day, it's a new millennium. Oh, happy day, with spirit that it guide us. Oh, happy day. We've been lost in our illusions. We were brainwashed from the start. We've been captured by contradictions that confuse a gentle heart. We've been pieces of a puzzle with a picture so unclear. We could never make much sense of how to love or what to feel. I believe we can do it. I think we stand a chance. It just takes a bit of knowing it's like learning how to dance. Since we are the world, we can change the world. Oh, happy day, see that kid out on the sidewalk. When we thought we all were separate, well, it was easy to place so many by the name. But when we all come together, things will be as they should be. It's time we all begin again to truly see what there is to see. And I believe we can do it. It's so easy when we try to feel the light between us and remember how to fly. Since we are the world, we can change the world. Oh, happy day, see that kid out on the playground. Oh, happy day, now she'll know that she is free. Oh, happy day, she'll never have to worry. Oh, happy day, what religion she might be. Oh, happy day, we're gonna build a new tomorrow. Oh, happy day, we're showing all we can. Oh, happy day, we're not waiting any longer. Oh, happy day, it's all in the master plan. Since we are the world, we can change the world.
Hi, well, I hope you liked the video. We're on the set with Shelley. Hi, Shelley.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Oh, very well.
So, yeah, when on the introduction, I talked about how, like, your art is your passion, and you want to really, like, bring that into the foundations. You want to talk a little about that?
Well, it became clear to me that that would be an excellent way to manifest revenue and to support art on the planet. And so we've been working hard to receive donations from artists around the world, global artists, and we have received several, more than several, about 5 different beautiful pieces of art. I brought 3 here tonight we'll look at later. And so...
Don't we have commitments for about 10 or 15 others?
Yeah,
Really
from
extraordinary
local
art?
artists, yeah, we do. And what we're doing with those initially, before we can actually manifest our vision of having an emporium, a retail emporium, where we could actually have a full art gallery and also be able to include the books of all of the guests that we focus on in bridging, and our tapes and
the CDs
and the
all the music
CDs and all the
yeah.
music and everything. Before that can happen, a really excellent way, I think, of promoting our donated art is together, working simultaneously with other organizations, nonprofit organizations in Santa Barbara, who have fundraisers themselves, and allowing them to take our art and focus on it, and then a portion of the proceeds of that would go to that other like-minded foundation. So it's a win-win situation for the artist, for Bridging Heaven and Earth, and for the other organization to help contribute to their well-being as well. So that's what we're trying to do, and we have several fundraisers that we're working together with right now. And so my passion is really to collect the art. We have started another kind of avenue, and that's only working together with local artists on a commission basis. And we have a restaurant here in Santa Barbara, which is a very popular restaurant. And we've established what we are calling The Wall at Fresco. And this restaurant is at 5 Points in Santa Barbara. And in November, we'll start our first exhibition. And we have submittal dates for the next 6 months. And artists, local artists, any artist, really, doesn't have to be local, but can submit one piece of artwork for that wall. And the artwork needs to be 16 inches by 20 inches. It needs to already be framed and ready to hang. and there's a $5, well, we can't talk about money, but there's a submittal fee, and then there's a commission that the artist would pay back to Bridging Heaven and Earth. So that would be a way for Bridging Heaven and Earth to make some revenue. It's a nice way to focus on the wonderful food that Fresco has, and it's a wonderful way to help local artists as well. So it's a really wonderful way to just make everything happen and create energy in many different levels for everyone.
And your experience has been that the artist community has really been excited about participating and supporting.
It's amazing what's happening with the community. They want to focus their art on being artists and making money doing that, and it's difficult. And so they always look for avenues where their art can be seen. And so to honor that and to honor art in this community is a very valuable thing, and I think the artists feel blessed to be able to participate. So it's really exciting to me.
But there's also been a tremendous response from international artists. Like I know we have some paintings here tonight from I guess Peter Max and Carolyn Kleefeld and Reagan, but we're also expecting work from Andy Lakey and numbers of other international artists that want to collaborate with us and participate with us.
There's artists all over the world that really eventually I would like to be able to support, and there's many in just everywhere. But I know, for example, in Russia, there are so many incredible artists that are painting their brains out, with no way of really making revenue. And in Australia, this wonderful art coming out of that continent. So I know all over the world there's art, and hopefully we will come to discover all of the artists that are out there that are working.
And this would help to serve and bring energy and manifestation to all the other goals of the foundation. That's what you want.
If we could have a retail outlet, and we would offer the artist a commission for their art, so that we would receive a certain portion of the sale of the art, but the artist would also receive a commission. So it's supporting the artist, it's supporting the foundation. And once you had a retail outlet, you could basically have an undertaking that would hopefully continually make money. And with that money, we would invest in the foundation.
Be like, say, dedicated to oneness? Would have to be a specific kind of art, or how would you deal with that?
Well, the artists that would resonate towards us would be ones that are creating out of that love of the oneness, and so that they would, that would draw them to us. We would probably like birds of a feather flock together. We would attract artists who resonate to that message, basically. And most artists are, Carolyn Kleefeld actually said a beautiful thing. She said, she wrote that art is love in creation. And so in that vein, if art is love in creation, then certainly most artists would be creating love. And since that is the root of what we're trying to establish a more meaningful existence to, certainly all of art would probably fit the bill.
So, and Peter Max has given like
Peter
2
Max
or 3
has been
pieces.
incredibly
Supportive.
generous.
I mean, I don't know if you people know, but I mean, Peter Max is world-renowned and just a very giving person. And
He's
very supportive.
generous. He's been very generous, and he has given us. The painting I brought here tonight has been donated by a local Santa Barbara resident by the name of Hermine Baker, and it is a Peter Max. However, Peter Max himself donated 2 originals. One of them is being framed right now, so I would have brought it up. But the other one has been sold, and so we are very grateful to Peter Max for what he's helped us do.
And Carolyn Kleefeld, who made that.
Carolyn Kleefeld is
and she's on the board of the
amazing human
foundation.
being. She lives for art. She's just a fabulous person, and a fabulous artist. And she has an incredible studio from what I hear, in Big Sur, on the top of a cliff overlooking all of Big Sur. And she just devotes herself to making wonderful paintings and books and calendars and just amazing things. So, oh, here we are focusing on Carolyn Kleefeld's piece that she donated to us, and that is called Picasso's Wife.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Picasso's girlfriend. Picasso's girlfriend.
Yeah, he had a lot of wives and girlfriends.
Yeah,
as it
he
turns
did.
out. He was good
He
in that
did.
area.
Picasso's girlfriend, and she's been very generous to us by donating that piece and donating many, many other things. She's just amazing. She's a wonderful advisory board member. And so I guess we'll go to the next piece, which would be Peter Max, I believe.
No, Reagan's piece.
That would be last, they said.
Yeah.
Whichever one they put on next, we'll talk about.
Yeah, that's the Reagan piece.
Is it?
Peter Max has been on already.
Has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was first.
So the last piece that we have is by Reagan Mendenhall, and Reagan came to us because we contacted her from seeing her artwork on the internet, and she started painting when she was 16 years old. This is a cheap clay print of her original, which she has donated to the Bridging Heaven and Earth Foundation, and the name of it is Angel of Peace. It was originally created in 1996 for the year 2000 countdown to peace. And Reagan says that it is a powerful reminder to let us love our earth and fellow people. And Reagan is going to be very famous. She is a phenomenal artist. Even at 16, she was painting pieces that artists who were painting for years couldn't paint. Mm-hmm. And she has an immense dedication to detail it's absolutely phenomenal for a girl her age. She's in her 20s now. And she's been very supportive of Bridging Heaven and Earth, and she's on our fundraising committee. And I did want to mention that we do have a fundraising committee for the Bridging Heaven and Earth Foundation, which meets in Santa Barbara once a week, and we are developing our first fundraiser, which will be a luncheon in early spring to late spring. And if anyone's interested in meeting with us, you can call the number that's on the screen, and we will meet usually at Fresco Restaurant every week. And would love to have volunteers to help us to organize that fundraiser, which will take a lot of brainstorming and a lot of support from the community. So,
okay.
Yeah.
You know, maybe what we'll do now, we have Maureen coming up, but we did a little foundation promo piece that we're going to show. Actually, we're going to show it. It's only 30 seconds. We're going to loop it, and then Shelley's going to lead the set, and Maureen's going to come on. So it's a little promotional piece about the foundation. You know, get a feel for it. You know, Shelley described part of what we're trying to do, and you've heard about it before when we talked about it, you know, at different times. So, yeah, just watch it. It's really a beautiful little piece. So we put together by the crew. Hi, we're on the set with Maureen, so welcome, Maureen. Good to have you.
Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, my pleasure, our pleasure. So, for people who are unfamiliar with what Feng Shui means, I know that is your way into the infinite, so or one of the ways. So why don't you talk about that a little?
Feng Shui is a Chinese practice that originated in Tibet, and it's a way to create harmony in our environments. And we're very fortunate. The Chinese wrote this down. Every culture has a form of this, and the Chinese have kept a written record for 5,000 years of Feng Shui. And what it is people their outer environment is actually like their outer body. And so by addressing the harmony and balance within our environments, our work environments and our home environments, we then address our inner bodies and into the soul. And it's very effective. It's quite an amazing practice.
So how did you begin to develop that way of looking at it? How did it come to you?
Well, I was actually in school getting a degree in interior architecture, and I had been taking Tai Chi and Qigong classes for many years. And one of my Qigong masters said, you're in architecture, why don't you look at Feng Shui? It's a form of Qi, and just like you're working with your body Qi, it's working with a larger body of buildings Qi. And so I started researching it back in the late 80s and started putting it into practice in the 90s. And at that time, there were no books available. It was very hard to find information about it. And, in the years since then, there have been many books.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's a big thing now.
It's become a very big thing. It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and you talk about like the wisdom of the earth
Yes.
wisdom.
Yes.
Why don't you talk about that a little?
Okay. That's really what it is. And what I do now is a form called Multicultural Feng Shui. In researching Feng Shui itself, I've studied other cultures and found that every culture has a form of this. And it is a very deep earth wisdom that we all tap into. So the Chinese form would just happen to be the kind of, I see it like a rhizome system of roots that spread below the surface, and it comes up in various cultural forms, but they're all the same at the heart. So all of it is accessing wisdom from the earth and from, God Force. And it just comes in different faces, just like we do.
And so a few of your books are like, say, the Celtic way of doing it, or Celtic, I guess.
Yes, Celtic, yes.
Is a basketball
Yes.
a little bit.
That's how most people pronounce it, yes.
Really?
Yes, Celtic, yes.
In the United States,
Yeah,
it's probably.
yes.
But it is Celtic.
It is Celtic, yeah.
So what you're describing is all these different manifestations of the root that as it spreads out to the different countries and all.
Yes, it comes up in its own cultural form. And I chose the medicine wheel and the Celtic wheel because those are my lineage. And also before I learned about Feng Shui, I've been studying the medicine wheel for many, many years and Celtic forms of spirituality. And so when my clients, some of them wouldn't be comfortable with the Chinese form. It just didn't fit. So I started thinking, well, there must be another way to bring this information to them. And so I started thinking about, my own lineage. And so that's the first research I did, was around the Celtic and Native American. And since then, I found that basically every other culture around the world has a form of this.
As a specific form. Interesting.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's going to be like, you're going to be like the chicken soup for the
Yes,
soul,
right, yes,
chicken soup
yes,
for the
yes.
Jewish soul, chicken soup for the
Yes.
Egyptian soul, feng shui for the...
Yes, yeah.
Really?
Egyptian Feng Shui, yes. Yeah, it's quite amazing.
I mean, is it
actually.
cultural or is it like country or is it an area? I mean, how does that
It's
work?
actually cultural, and so many of them, like the Hawaiian form, there's no written form of it, and so I have to go and actually work with the Huna there and learn their form through a non-written way,
Right.
which is...
Why don't you describe like the differences or what one would be and what another would be, just, like the major points.
Okay, the Chinese Feng Shui is very clear, very concise, very concrete. It has, in fact, what's interesting is the backdrop of this is like half of a bagua, which is the Feng Shui practice of overlaying the bagua onto a building.
And the bagua
is it's actually from the I Ching. It's an 8-sided form that is actually based on a turtle shell. originally based on a turtle shell. And it's overlaid onto a floor plan, and then different parts of our lives are assigned to different areas of our home. And it's quite interesting to see how they correlate. And people really get it on a very intuitive level, how they've chosen spaces for lessons or for healings in their life. So oftentimes, in fact, usually the first thing I'm asked about is like the area of wealth. You know, people usually go to that first, you know, well, how is that? And so we'll look at that and they'll see that if there is an area missing there, it's not so much about money missing, it's about the richness of life. And so in doing a feng shui assessment, we'll go through the house using the overlay and like look at their life. And it gives me a very...
And would each of these have the same relative overlay?
No, they don't. They're different.
So in other words,
They
would
vary.
somebody say to you, I want a Chinese feng shui?
Yes.
Or I want a Native American?
And they're very different. They're very
Or,
different.
you know, an American McDonald's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
feng shui with a golden arch or something?
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bet, I wouldn't be surprised if McDonald's uses feng shui. Yeah, but they have very
So
different
who would
personalities.
decide? I mean, would you decide if somebody called you, I call you, and I say, I think you can help me. And what would you say? I want to come to your house. I want to come to your car.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I would. Usually people call and ask me to come to their homes, offices too. I do a lot of work environments, and oftentimes I'm able to get in on the design of a building, which is my ideal. But what I do is I give them the choice. I say, well, I have these forms, and I use these three forms mainly, the Celtic, the Native American, and the Chinese. And I give them the option, the choice, and one will usually ring true for a client. They'll be really excited.
And would some of the clients say to you, well, why don't you've met me, you've seen my house, why don't you pick one?
Yes, I have had that happen.
Right.
But most often they choose. But
They'll choose.
and I'll just intuit.
And now one will have a different form than the other? Okay.
They all have a circle form. They all have the basic circle, but they all have very different personalities. Just like each culture has very different personality, each of these wheels has a different personality. And like the Celtic form is really based on trees, on the elements, on fairy people, and it's very, very fae, which is, kind of very spiritual, very of nature. And the Native American form is very much more earth-centered, and so it's based on the directions and a lot of Native American elements to it. So each one has a very different feel to it, but they're all, again, from that same root system. So they all have the same feeling, the same goal at heart.
So for someone who's not really that familiar with, I mean, you hear things like mirrors, or you hear things like fountains, or you hear things like sleeping in a certain direction, or having light coming in. Now, is that standard in the feng shui format, or is that also subject to all the different?
It's very. I don't follow the traditional forms of feng shui in that way. I usually have people intuit that for themselves. So a lot of those things are very Chinese in origin. It's really wonderful, and it has a lot of history and a lot of tradition. And I also say, if it doesn't feel right, don't use it.
So the more structured is like the Chinese over all the years have developed certain very strict, almost rules.
Right. Yeah. Very much right.
And you've expanded out and say what resonates with you more.
Yeah, trusting the client to intuit it for themselves. And when I do an assessment, I bring the client in as a partner. I don't go in and act as the guru and say, this is what you must do.
Well, they ultimately have to live there.
Yeah, they have to live there, and it's a partnership.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I found I've had over the years thousands of clients, and it's just amazing how healing this practice is. And it's because it's healing the outer body, but at the same time, as we're doing the practices, we're going around the house, as they're working on the areas of their life, it's healing their inner.
How long does this process take?
It depends. A traditional assessment is about 2 hours, and I tape it. Some people have me come back a few times. Some people it's just one time. As I say, my ideal is to go in when the house is being designed, so I can start at the beginning. And I also do a process where I tune into the land and talk with the land and see if there's anything that needs to happen, with healing or balancing or.
So what, in all the different formats, I mean, are there like almost standard elements that, would be almost universal in that way?
I'd say the directions is probably the most common used, north, south, east, west. And the heart of the house is often emphasized in each one of these. But other than that, they really have taken on a cultural face.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how would you describe, what is the heart of a house?
The heart of a house is, say, in this studio space, this actually sits where we sit right here, is very much the heart of the space.
And why would that be? Explain it to us.
It's actually the physical heart, the center of a space. And out of the heart, it generates everything, like our physical heart. Controls all the meridians of our body, controls everything. And so a heart that's balanced will provide, it's like you were talking about the spoke of a wheel. Well, the heart is where everything radiates from. So if that's balanced and centered, everything from that is balanced and centered. And so that's one of the first places I go when I go to a home or an environment.
Okay, so looking at this as say the heart now,
Yes.
Would you say that this heart is balanced?
Oh, it's wonderful. Well, look at the elements here. Look at the flowers and the colors and the Buddha. So from this heart space is radiating out to the rest of the space. All the things, the beauty of nature and the glory of color and the peace of Buddha is radiating out to the space and to everyone in it.
Wow, boy,
Yes.
we stumbled on it, didn't we?
Very intuitive. You know what you're doing. Yes.
So, okay, so that would be your first,
That's usually
thing,
the first
heart,
place I look at.
because
yes.
that's going to affect everything
Yes,
else.
right.
Okay, and once that got into a balanced state, or you came to some level of harmony with the client and all that, where would you go next? I mean, probably they want you to go, where's
the
the
wealth
money?
corner, right? Exactly, the wealth corner is usually where they want me to go. The next thing I usually look at is the front door, and I say that because, and especially in traditional feng shui, that's where energy comes in. It's like the mouth of a house, and so what comes through the door and what's on the other, on the other side of the door is really important. And so if there's toxicity, if there's traffic, if there's, there's multiple things that could be there.
So that wouldn't be a good place to put a big ashtray or something.
No, not a good place. And a lot of people do that, unfortunately.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So that's real important. That's real important.
Where
the
that's what
entryway.
the entryway.
Yeah, entryway, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then where would you go? Okay, now, are there, I mean, you hear so much about like, wind going through or,
Yes. Chi.
water or stuff like that.
Yes.
Now that, would you try to, because your clients are unaware of those things more or less. That's why
Right.
they're calling you, because you're the expert or the master in that
Mm-hmm.
way. So, I mean, would you recommend that instead of take this ashtray out and a fountain would be better, or, something like that? And then, and then they would try and call you back and say, my God, the whole house feels different.
Yes, yeah, then they feel it.
Right.
And again, I really create a partnership. So when I go in to do an assessment, I get them involved in it also. So, so I would say, well, what would you suggest there? What would feel right for you? If I say take the ashtray away, what would you like to see there?
Yes. They had the ashtray to begin with, so you know that
Yeah,
they
right. Yeah, so I
they need
think
a second choice.
Yeah, I think something else would do better there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So really, again, it's a partnership, and
but there are certain like flowing water or mirrors. Now why
Yes.
do they expand the experience or expand the harmony?
Well, moving water, a lot of things. Moving water creates negative ions, which promotes good health. And I oftentimes recommend a fountain like by electrical equipment, because that generates a lot of positive ions, which literally interferes with the neurons in the brain. They have evidence now of that. And so by putting a fountain by, like working on a computer, it creates a clearer mind. It just more harmony. And most people, when they go by moving water, their whole body relaxes.
Is it the
Very
sound,
healing.
or is it
It's the movement. It's actually a combination of everything.
And the vibration
And the
that's coming
vibration that's
off it.
coming off of it. Yeah, very healing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and how does nature fit in? I mean, obviously everybody would like
yeah.
to live, either at the ocean or,
Yes,
or in the woods or something. But
We're in nature all the time. Whether we're at the ocean or in the woods, our house, our environment sit on a plot of land. And that's one of the exercises I have in Multicultural Feng Shui, is tuning into that land under the house. Because no matter where you are, even if you're in a 50-story building, the foundation is on the land. And so I teach people to go down through the building and tune into that land that's underneath there. Yeah, yeah.
And that makes a difference, just even in the same space, that they
Yes.
feel connected instead
Yes.
of just floating in space.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's a very interesting philosophy about feng shui. The farther you are, the more detached you are from the earth. So, which doesn't follow our Western philosophy. If the higher you are, usually that denotes wealth. But not in feng shui. It denotes a disconnection from the earth and a missing of that wealth of our.
But you're saying that even in those high-rise towers, you can
connect in, yes,
Right,
yeah, and
but
I teach people how to do that.
It just takes
Yeah.
more of a conscious effort,
Yes.
kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
More of an openness, because you're physically removed, and we see things in physical ways. So,
Right, yeah.
So, in your experience, over the years, I mean, from your first start, I mean, people are really becoming open to this.
Yes, they are.
In all its different forms.
It's amazing, yeah. Yeah, when I first started using feng shui in designing buildings, I did it very quietly and didn't say anything about it. And people say, oh, this is a really amazing space. What are you doing? And then I started educating people about it. And then as I could speak more about it, and now it's to the point where even large companies are bringing me in and publicly doing it, and owning up to the fact that they're having fun.
So they're not doing it on the slide.
Right, yeah.
So
yes.
it's actually gone public.
It's gone public, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, really, it has
Yes.
become a thing that people really want their building and their environment to be healthy.
Yeah, they do.
And they don't know how, really. I
Yeah.
mean, they have old patterns. Now, do you see this is coming more and more into architecture?
Yes,
That it's
very much
actually
so.
from the,
Very
from the
much so.
start, that you don't have to come in
Yes.
and fix it so much?
Right, yeah, the people are actually coming to me before the fact, and the other hat I wear is environmental design, and I'm finding they're coming to me for both of those.
And how would you define that, environmental design?
I specify less toxic materials through the whole building process, and because I found that even if I feng shuied a space as I was creating it, if it wasn't a healthy environment, it didn't matter. And the toxicity levels are so high in our environments.
I mean, with the carpets and the,
Yes. Paints and VOCs.
The paints and the
Formaldehyde and all those things.
leads. The
Yes.
leads are out now, mostly, they say.
Actually, that's not true.
Oh.
What I found in research is that even though we have so-called unleaded gas, that a certain amount of lead falls down into our cars and carports and driveways, and that we actually are carrying it into the house. So I encourage my clients to take off their shoes before they go in the house.
Off their clothes.
Yeah, because it really is.
It's a naked world we
Yeah.
live in now.
Well, that's imbalance.
Yeah, that would be fun. So your experience is that this is really one of the ways that humans are, obviously, especially we were talking earlier today in this world, there's a lot of wackiness, a lot of disharmony going on, especially at this time, but probably a lot of times. But that is one of the ways that people are coming into more connection, more harmony.
Yes,
and you see it from the biggest corporations to the
small,
to the
individual
individual
studio
in,
apartment. Yeah, and people are, because these times are frightening, people are looking to find harmony in their homes. You know, that's really
refuge.
important. A refuge, a sanctuary,
Right.
and our homes should be that. Yeah, we deserve that.
So the experience of that really changes lives.
Yes,
I mean,
it does.
it's like an
It really
opening
does.
door.
Yes, it does.
And then whatever then you want harmony, more harmony and more harmony and more harmony.
And what happens is like a ripple effect. So as we create that harmony and balance within our homes and ourselves, and it really literally heals on a cellular level, it will ripple out to the rest of the world. And so
Because vibrationally there's a place of balance and harmony.
yes, yeah, and that's where, they say that's where peace starts. Well, that's where healing
In
starts.
each person. Wow.
Yeah.
So, and your books are guides to, even if people say can't afford to call somebody in to do that,
Right.
they could get this
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
and start their own
Yes.
exploration of, and you have specifics in there about not necessarily an ashtray at the front door, but
Yeah.
similar things to that.
Yes, yeah, they're pretty generic, so people can use them on their own homes. And again, I teach people how, the tools to use to do it for themselves, too, because everyone knows their environment. No one knows an environment better than the person that lives in it.
And also people can be experimental. So I mean, you
Right.
could
Yes.
move this here, and how does that feel
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
come in?
Yeah.
And that, if the water's dripped all over everything,
Yeah,
how it works with them.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So you really encourage, it's like an empowering process, although you come in with a vast amount of knowledge.
I come in as a mediator, really, between the person and their environment, and my job is to bring them together and step out of the way, so they have an ongoing dialogue with their environment.
So in other words, like, you've taught them how to experience their own environment.
Yes.
So they don't have to call you in
Right.
to
Yes.
fix it, because
Yes.
they have a sense, and the more they get in tune with that sense, the less disharmony would have to come in before they realize it.
Yeah.
So they can make little
They
adjustments
become sensitive, very sensitive to it.
to their
yeah.
own environment.
Yeah.
And would you say that once that begins to happen, they become more sensitive to
That's right, to the outer environment,
where
their
they
neighbor.
live in
Yes.
their neighbor's environment,
Yes.
where they work, and
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
they want to bring that harmony with them because it feels better,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, it does. It feels
Right.
better. Yeah, and I actually take people through that process of going from their home to their lot, to their city block, to their neighborhood, and I actually do overlays over cities too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever been hired by a city planner? Has that happened yet?
No, I would like that.
That'd be interesting.
That would be, that'd be wonderful. Yeah.
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 So the only thing that would stop it is basically would be constraints of maybe, I mean, money really wouldn't be an issue. I mean, almost anybody can afford to, like you're saying, from a studio apartment to, the Empire State Building,
Right.
you can do better with the harmony of it.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's a very easy practice, and part of what I've done in the books is simplify them. So it takes what I worked at doing was getting the heart of it, and bringing that to the book, so people can, without all the complicated rules, and just find, really pull through the gold, the heart, so I can pass that on to people.
Well, we have probably like 5 or so minutes left. Why don't you try to, give people the heart, pick one of the books,
Okay.
or, start going through them, or...
Actually, you know what? I think I would like to have people start at the heart of the house, to look at the center of the physical center of their space, whether it's their desk, their office, or their home.
Is it where they spend most time, or how?
No, it's actually the physical center.
physical
physical center. Yes, yeah. So oftentimes in our construction now is they're either used as a corridor for movement, or they're used as a utility corridor, and both of those have problems. If it's a long hallway, well, there's too much energy rushing through, and it's like a canyon. If there's water going continually through, there's no place for fish to live, or those little meandering ponds off to the side. And so I have people put things on the walls, or put things on tables that slow that movement down and create more of a meander. And then if it's blocked, which oftentimes it'll be like, a bathroom and a washer and dryer area, well, then that's too closed down. And so there's not enough movement. And so, so it's really important for people to look at that space first and see. And there's lots of things that they can do to expand the energy or to slow the energy down.
Just harmonize it. You don't want it going too fast. You don't want it going too slow.
Yeah,
you don't
just
want
find
it
it's like our own heartbeat.
Right. You don't want it going a zillion miles an hour.
Right.
You don't want it
Right. You don't want it too slow. You want it just a nice, steady, strong beat, and that's what you're looking for in your home.
And that will support your movement through this life.
Yes.
Because that's where you spend
all
so
the
much
other
time.
areas of your
Okay, so if people are starting at the heart, now that would be the same whether it's Celtic, whether it's Native American, they're all going to be the same. Get to the center and get the harmony in some sort of balance.
Yes.
Okay, what would they do after that? Assuming that it's balanced now.
Assuming that it's I've got healthy hearts. Then I would go to the front door. And the front door is the door that you use the most. And for a lot of people, that's the door from their garage. And so even though there's the designated front door, oftentimes people come in through their garage. So look at that as how, if that was the mouth of the house, what's that entry point like, through the garage and through all, all the mess usually. So
usually you're going in through either the kitchen or the or through the garage, or some
kind of back little
so it's usually not a big expansive harmony.
So I actually tell people to use their front doors more often.
To go out the garage through the front and do that. And in your experience, it changes the way people experience their house and their life.
Yes, it does, very much so. Yeah.
So they're not coming in like sneaking in through the back door.
They're coming into the
fullness of their house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's a different experience.
Okay, so now they got the heart balance. They're going in through the front door, not sneaking in through the back door.
Not through the back door.
Where do they go now?
Depending on what area of their life they're looking at attuning, I would say, actually, what I would take them to is outside the house. And as I say, we all live on land. Even if it's covered by concrete or asphalt, there's always land. So go outside and kind of connect in. There's spirits of the land that live and that are guardians at every space. And go and say hello. Go and introduce yourself. Be a good neighbor. Acknowledge that they're there, and have them work with you in partnership in creating a better balanced.
So would you say like gardening or plant life is extraordinarily valuable in all aspects of the house?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
So
even
that would be a quickie way to start getting the harmony, to just start bringing plants in.
Yeah, or even put a bird feeder out or a bird bath, and that creates good feelings, good harmony right away with the neighborhood, birds and wildlife.
So in essence, what you've been saying tonight, there have been certain specifics, but basically it's common sense.
Yes, it is. It is.
Except common
very
sense
much
is
so. It's common sense.
It's so uncommon nowadays as we see all over the place.
Yeah, especially in our environments. We get too hooked into what's popular in design and less what's supportive of us.
And I guess it's coming in through our head rather than our being or our heart or however you describe it. Yeah. Our feeling. If we felt it, we would know that this is disharmonious.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I have people do is actually look at their house through their heart instead of their eyes. I have them close their eyes and actually look at their space through their heart. Yeah.
There's so many things we do. I remember when it struck me is that wearing ties. Cutting off your hair supply as a male, or I guess females do it sometimes.
And it's separating the head from the body.
It seems so wacko, and yet we do it so often. It's almost shocking. It seems,
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm really glad that women don't have to do that.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So I guess again, we're coming to the end of the show, and it's been a real experience for us all, and a real opportunity for us all. So. If I could, I'd like to thank Maureen, and I'd like to thank Shelley for coming on and talking about the foundation. And I hope you like the videos. We put a lot of time into really doing that, because there is an opportunity for us to all have a happy day if we could experience the love that we all are. Every one of us, young, old, black, white, Afghani, American, all of them. We're all that. So let's try to experience that love. Good night. We love you. God bless you. Thanks. Come again. Good night.